Welcome to another edition of Behind the Visual. I am your host, lifestyle and advertising photographer Mark Hansen, and today my guest is Alessandra Amodio, and she is the digital photo editor at Travel and Leisure. And Alessandra and I talk about the time she thought a famous musician was going to blackball her for something she did when she first started working at Newsweek. We also talk a lot about travel and cool places to travel, including the country that she went to that really surprised her and almost made her move there and leave the US. So we chat about her love of photography and how it's really served her well there at Travel and Leisure. And yeah, it's great, fun talk there. Got a little photography talk in there, lots of travel talk in there. So go take a listen and let me know what you guys think. Be sure to like it, share it, thumbs up it, subscribe to it, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, let me know what you think. We're good. And then I'll edit this part out.
Okay.
But so you still work?
I am. I am done around 4:30ish, but I just figured it'd be easier for me to
Oh
just
yeah.
linger around and steal a conference room than have to subway back home and
Oh yeah.
deal
Yeah.
with the animals back home and let's give a safe, quiet, neutral
You have to
space.
come into work every day?
I go in 3 days a week, and
Oh, that's
even
good.
that, it's really great. They're like very flexible where like if I am like doing something for like shooting or for, like obviously I'm at Travel and Leisure. So like if people are traveling for work or doing press trips, or like last week, I worked from the beach all week. So I was online and I was, doing my work, but I got to be at a beach house. So like, as long as there's like a good reason, and obviously things are getting done as they should,
Yeah.
they're very it's great. So it definitely makes life
Yeah, that
easier.
sounds like a pretty sweet gig. Get to do the whole work from the beach thing.
Yeah, that was definitely not an everyday occurrence, but it
Yeah.
was a very nice week.
My daughter's boyfriend did that, but we're at my dad's place, but he's not right on the water. He's about a 5 minute like bike
Okay.
ride from the beach.
Hmm.
But he never left the house. So
That's what
yeah.
yeah, like I'd work from the backyard, or like one day there's like picnic benches that are covered.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
got this like pop-up cover for my computer from Target.
All right.
And so I was able to like actually be outside
That's
so that I
cool.
wasn't just like locked indoors.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I feel like my computer. Sorry. It felt
That's
like he
right.
was a little, I don't think that made a difference.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Thank you. This
Yeah,
is
I appreciate
exciting.
it. This is cool. All right. So what I want to know is we'll start from the beginning with this whole thing.
Hmm.
Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in the New York area or did you grow up someplace totally different?
No, so New York area. So I grew up like 30 miles out of New York on Long Island.
Yeah.
So I'm from like central-ish Long Island. Like it's about 45-minute drive, maybe an hour train ride.
All right.
But my dad works in the city a lot. So I grew up in the city most, throughout the month we would go, like he would randomly come home, we'd go in for dinners. We were there for just like walking around, plays, museums. So I grew up like hanging out in the city,
Right.
but I'm from the suburbs.
But you didn't have to live in the city. So you kind of got the best of both
It
worlds. Yeah.
was definitely nice. I didn't appreciate it then, but I love that living and that I grew up on Long Island. There's beaches, the wineries, and then the city to the west. So it was
Yeah.
definitely it was nice.
So do you live in the city now or you still live outside the city?
No, so I live in the city now. I went to college in the city. So I moved here for school, and then I would go back home like for summers. And then I was home a year after I graduated, and then I moved back into the city. I lived in Brooklyn, I was in Bushwick for a little
Yeah.
while, and now I am in Manhattan.
Okay. So
Mm,
I saw that you're a photographer.
I am.
Okay, when did you start shooting and what was your first camera? Do you remember?
Oh my God. Okay. So it's something I've definitely always loved. And I mean, I would take like horrendous photos of like myself and my friends, when I was younger.
Yeah,
But the first time I feel like I maybe took it, I don't even want to say seriously because I don't know how serious you could be at like 15.
right.
But I took a traditional photography class, my freshman year of high school. So dark room, the whole
Oh
kit and
yeah.
caboodle. And I was like, okay. I don't know how, but this is what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna find a way to do this forever, or at least be involved in this
Mhm.
forever, which was, I'm sure, a horrifying statement for like every adult above me to hear.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like your 15-year-old coming home and being like, I'm going to art school. Um, but I did that. So yeah, I'd say around 15. And I don't remember my first camera. I know my first 35 mil
Yeah.
was my dad's old camera, and I feel like
Yeah.
it was some Olympus. I want to say like
Okay.
Olympus One. I feel like I might be making that up. It was definitely some kind of point and shoot 35 millimeter Olympus.
All right.
And then my first digital camera was like a Nikon Coolpix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're throwing it back a little bit.
Well, my first digital was a Fuji.
Okay.
I had like a Fuji fine. It was 6 megapixels.
Oh my God,
My
that's what
first
I
digital.
mean. I can't even imagine
But here's
what
the
those
thing,
were.
it took such good pictures, even with a
See?
smaller sensor, that I have a medium format shot that I shot on a Mamiya RB 67,
Beautiful.
or it was a Hasselblad. I can't remember. Anyway, of my daughter bought it for
Oh,
like a 20 by 24.
hmm
I took at the beach. I took the same shot basically about 4 or 5 years later
hmm
with that Fuji and blew it up to 20 by 24. And unless I don't know if you can tell the difference unless you really get on top of them and are really paying attention to what it looks like. But if you just frame it, I have them both framed and put
Yeah.
them on the wall near each other,
Oh my
and
God.
you can't tell.
Well,
And it was six
well,
megapixels.
do not tell the Hasselblad lovers that because they're not gonna like
Oh, I know. I
it.
know.
They don't want to hear that.
It's true though. I like the Hasselblad, but that thing is just so big, man. I mean, I
It
shot
is.
weddings with it, and
Wow. I
that
mean, I
was
bet it is. I mean, it's stunning, and I can't even imagine what those would look like. I'm planning my wedding now, so I can
ah,
only imagine what would happen if I'm like, no, no, our photos are only medium format. But it is a beast.
yeah. I enjoyed shooting with it though, and I haven't shot it with it in a very long time.
Hmm
But I had a good time. I was fun shooting with. I like the sound when it clicks. The way the
Yeah.
shutter sounds is, I think, is very cool.
hmm
And I haven't shot weddings. I shot weddings for a long time. I haven't shot a weddings in over 20 years, other than a couple for friends. And when I shot film, 10, 12, 15 rolls tops. So you're
Yeah.
looking at 150, maybe 170 shots or something like that.
hmm
And now, what is it? I mean, I have friends who shoot weddings and they're talking about 1,000, 2,000, three thousand
Yeah.
images.
I mean, and now, um, luckily, I mean, like obviously not everybody does this, but me being a photographer and being still in the art world,
Yeah.
my fiance is a graphic designer. He was, we met doing the photography program at our college. So we're both very creative. So photography was obviously like it was a big part. I must have gone through, honest to God, over 100 portfolios.
Oh, wow.
Because I was so particular. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't want this like not that it's not beautiful, but there's a very like specific style that I feel like a lot of people do for wedding photography. That was just not my style. I wanted something more documentary style. I wanted, a certain feel to it. So it really took a while to find
Yeah.
it. And all of those like more niche photographers, they all offer film also, obviously like for whatever extra, but it's
Right.
like, oh, this for like a singular roll of film. And I've known people who do it and they're like, oh, but it's like, yeah, this is gonna be so amazing. And I was like, Yes, but a roll of film is like maybe 36 shots. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, so if you're looking to like have your wedding shot on film, I'm like, you need to like think about that because 36 photos on is like it goes like this. Like
Yeah.
I was shooting this morning for a story we did today or we're working on, and I was out for 30 minutes and I shot 600 photos.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm like, things to keep in mind.
Yeah. And I think I was more selective on what I shot, and I knew I had the shot faster, but I
Yeah.
also didn't have art directors watching my screen as I'm shooting.
Yeah.
That was a part of
Hmm.
it. But I think it helped me learn to shoot faster to get that. So I didn't have to shoot as much. But I was just listening to a story. I think it was Bruce Weber. I'm not positive. It may have been a different photographer back in the late
Hmm.
90s. Would shoot like 3,000 frames though of film and
I
then present the
can't.
client or the magazine, whoever it was, with like 1,000 to choose from.
That definitely feels like something Bruce Weber would do.
Yeah.
Um, I can't even like imagine that. I
Yeah.
can't. That's
Yeah.
like
And then I actually
unbelievable.
saw, I'm blanking on the dude's name, but he shot everything for Victoria's Secret back in the 90s. I can't remember the guy's
Hmm.
name. But they did some kind of behind the scenes thing, and he had a hot light, and he had one assistant holding the camera beside him, another assistant waiting to grab that camera when he handed it over, and he
Yeah.
basically just hit the button with a motor drive, went,
Oh my
and then
God.
switched out cameras, and
That's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah. I was like, my God, I could get a great shot with that. I mean,
Yeah.
have my
Yeah,
assistant
like
light it, and then I'll just put on. All
of
right,
course, just go. Because of
yeah,
course then you're gonna get something.
yeah. You shoot 15 rolls of film like that. Okay, so you went to, did you go to school for photography?
I did. I went to the School of Visual Arts in the city, for photo and video, technically, although
Yeah,
I I'm so bad at video. I love video. It is just my brain. I like see in still images. Like I even like day to day, I'm like, that's a photo, that's a photo.
mhm,
And obviously people who are more like than I am, they are like, oh no, like this is a shot or whatever.
right.
So I did not thrive in my forced video classes, but yes, I did go for a photo.
So say somebody sees, you see something, you see it like, boom, that's a shot. Where
Yeah.
somebody else in the back would go, oh, I see a pan into here and then off
Yeah,
this way or come in from up
exact.
top. Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can understand that. Yeah,
And I've had,
I did a little. I actually was like two classes away from a degree in, what was it, broadcast production.
oh,
So I got a
wow.
media advertising degree, but then I
Mm-hmm.
was 2 hours away from broadcast production. So we're doing some film and video stuff as well. But it was going to mean I had to pay for my own college just for the next semester. I
Uh,
was like, yeah, I'm out.
it's so not that I don't okay, so I loved school. I know some schools like you kind of have like prerequisites and there's more like I don't want to say like more learning, but more academics.
Yeah, yeah,
But like so with SVA, I feel like I was very lucky where we kind of like first day in, you throw in. You're taking, I mean, you still do like history of photo and you do stuff like that, but you're shooting, you're developing, you're doing all of these things, you're learning how to edit immediately. And then, there's some electives and random things thrown in for like art school. Like I
right.
took like a music class and I took things that aren't real. So I would definitely say like I learned skills that I didn't have in the beginning.
Yeah,
Um, but I really do like not that it's not important, but like it's hard to justify like needing a degree for art as long as you're not a historian or something like that, like as an artist, because like you can only take it so far with schooling. Like otherwise it's just kind of like honing it yourself. And I mean, like I think the best thing that I got out of school was like the critique classes and stuff like that, and like learning how to curate as a photo editor.
yeah,
I got to strengthen my skill in curating, but if I couldn't see a story or see how to do it beforehand, they couldn't teach me that. Like they
right.
could show like how they think they do it, or like they could kind of explain like why this looks good next to that, but not next to this. But like if you don't have that kind of eye for it,
Mhm.
it's not really something you could just learn.
Oh yeah.
So I
And
feel like
then everybody's
I
got a
feel like
different
it's hard
opinion.
to, yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right.
absolutely.
Yeah, I remember when I first started shooting, I was doing a lot for modeling agencies
Hmm.
and trying to figure out what I was doing, what my style was. And I shot something, and I remember I shot this girl. I don't remember exactly what she was wearing, but I think she had her pants unbuttoned a little bit or something. And the guy from the agency saw it and was like, and I shot her in a doorway down on a street or something. And he was like, this is not a good shot. This is not a good shot because this would never really happen. And this girl, and I think what it really was, because it really wasn't a bad shot from what I can remember. And then I started thinking
Yeah.
about other shots I've seen of girls like half naked and they're not in some normal spot.
Yeah.
Um, he was gay. So he was just like, I don't get this. I
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
female, he didn't see the,
No,
yeah,
he didn't see it. And it's,
the
I
the
mean,
male gaze.
he probably took care of me ever shooting half naked women, which is fine because I have two daughters and it'll be tough for me to come in and go, look what daddy just shot. And they're like,
Look at this.
yeah. Why is she not have on any clothes? Yeah. So when you finished school,
Mhm.
what was your first job out of school?
So I interned in when I was still in school, which it's so, I really feel very confident in like chalking up like where I am right now in this office, my job currently, to those internships that I did in college. Which is why like anytime I knew somebody who was going through a similar process or like interested in art school or like currently in art school, but like trying to figure out the next step, I was like intern, 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 because
Yeah.
the places I intern, don't affect what I do now, but I was interning at an art agency, doing like portfolio stuff and like nothing
Mhm.
crazy. But it was like from that then I got another internship where I was with XO Group, who does like the Knot magazine, which is a
Yeah.
wedding magazine. And then through there, I worked at Newsweek magazine was like my first like job. Um, I was a photo editor for the print magazine at Newsweek.
Really?
And then I was just traveling because I love to travel. So I've always traveled since I was very, very little. I've been very lucky that my whole family loves to travel. I
Nice.
have a lot of family in Italy, so we would go to Italy often. So I would, use my PTO and I would go on trips. And I was shooting and doing whatever, and I shoot my, day to day. And I actually got poached from that job for Departures magazine. And that's how I entered the travel sphere.
Oh,
And
wow.
then from Departures, I'm at Travel and Leisure. So I'm like, to me at least, it's a very clear timeline.
Yeah. So now, do
Hmm.
you, I'm assuming you travel quite a bit still for work?
Yeah.
Do
Hmm.
you shoot? So is it, say there's a story on wherever, some
Hmm.
resort someplace. Do they send you to go there and then you shoot it and come back and then edit through or do you hire somebody to shoot it and then you edit, they go with you kind of a thing?
No, I'll shoot it.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. They're, killing two birds with one
Yeah.
stone. Um, yeah, so they'll vary. Like sometimes they'll go, and I'm always shooting anyway. But sometimes it's like stuff for like a social media sort of takeover. Other times, they'll want like an accompanying article.
Right.
But I'm always photographing, and then those I'll use in the article. And then I've created like sort of like in a database for my team to use so I was just in Napa in May, June, whatever, a few months
Yeah.
ago. And those photos will go with my article, but also like say in a month or so, or say next year, we're working on an article about Napa or vineyards or whatever. Like I'll still use those photos
Right.
because, they were mine shot for Travel and Leisure. So the licensing is ours,
Yep.
just to like utilize and, use as much original photography as possible.
Do you write as well or you just shoot?
I do, I write as well.
Wow. You know how to do
Mhm.
everything.
I've always loved to write, so I'm very lucky now that like with Travel and Leisure, I get the opportunity to write sometimes also.
Oh, very cool. Do
Hmm.
you, so when you go on vacation for yourself, you
Hmm.
bring your camera and say if you go someplace cool, do you take your camera and you shoot while you're there as well, or do you just kind of like chill?
Yeah. No, yeah, I shoot.
Yeah.
And it's funny. So like I try not to bring a massive DSLR. I sometimes actually lately I've been stealing. My dad has a very nice, like smaller little like mirrorless Nikon.
Mhm.
So I've been taking that lately because I like the feel of that.
Yeah.
And I have a little like Sony point and shoot, and stuff like that. And my fiance will bring his film camera. So
Okay.
the two of us are always taking photos. And even here, I'll be like, oh, like I'm going to like I was just in we did a big 20-person family trip to Costa Rica in March. Um, and I
A
was
lot
like,
of
oh, I'm going
people.
to yeah,
Can you
a
go out to
lot of
dinner with that many people?
we did every night.
Was like a 4 hour wait?
Every so I actually wrote about it. And one of the tips in my article was to really like seek out help at the resorts or hotels. So
Yeah.
like I had contacted like the concierge and like the resort team, and I was like, listen, there's a lot of us. I'm like, anything you can recommend or help with? And they're like, okay, well, like if you could eat before 7 or like after 9. And they helped with accommodating us because there was a lot of us.
Oh yeah.
So but I was like, oh, I'm going, like I'll take photos, I'll do whatever. And everybody on my team was like, no, like it's okay, like enjoy your vacation. I'm like, no, 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 like I will. Like I'm not gonna go and not take photos. So
Right.
like it's just not going to happen that way. I will be taking photos the whole time. And I was. So it's
So
not like
do
a
you ever
cumbersome
work it
end.
so that you get paid a little bit while you're there if you're shooting and bring stuff back? Or so say you shoot while you're there and then they do an
Mhm.
article on it and you go, hey, I have a ton of pictures.
It's all kind of like baked into my salary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think it would be different if I was like a contract worker or
Right.
freelance, but being salaried, it's just kind of like not a part of it because I'm doing it on my
But
own.
yeah,
Like
you're doing it just because you don't have to
yeah,
do
like
it. Yeah.
exactly. Like I'm choosing to do this because I enjoy it and I know at some point we'll want them. And we
Right.
have.
So
So
it's not
to
like
me
you're
it's
on a
worth it.
salary and you go on vacation and your boss goes, hey, while you're on vacation, I know it's vacation, but why don't you shoot
Yeah.
some things for us while
No,
you're
no,
gone?
yeah. No,
Yeah.
they've done the complete opposite where
Yeah.
they're like, please relax. And I'm like, no, no, like I'm enjoying myself still. Like it's not like I'm like have a rigorous structure where I'm like,
Right.
okay, no hanging by the pool today because I have to shoot. Like
Yeah.
it's just it happens naturally.
That's good.
Yeah.
We did a trip to Nassau, not last summer, summer before last. And we were staying
Beautiful.
at Bahamar
Oh,
there.
beautiful.
And I had booked a room like with two beds or whatever. And it was my wife, my
Hmm.
daughters, and I were all going to stay in this room. And I started thinking about it. I was like, that's going to be horrible for a week. So I emailed them and was like, hey, what if I take some shots for you guys that you can use on social media and you upgrade
Okay.
me to a suite?
Okay.
They gave me a two-bedroom apartment basically with
See?
water view, ocean front, whatever. And
Yeah.
thank God it was
Um,
so much better.
but
And the
that's
only
see,
bad thing
that's so
about it
smart.
was, oh yeah, it was great. The only oh, we
Ugh,
got to go swim with the pigs and the sharks for the same deal. I did it like the dude because they wanted like $400 a person or something like that to
yeah.
do that. And I was like, I'm not paying you that. And he's like, well, if you shoot some stuff, I'll give it to you for free. I
Hmm.
was like, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah. But my daughters, at least my youngest, was kind of like, that was a little bit of a pain because I use them a lot. I was like, hey, and then
Get in the shot.
my
Yep.
wife has nothing to do with what I do, but she's really
Hmm.
into it. And she used to be a lot more into it when my girls were younger. So
Yeah.
she'd go, hey, why don't we shoot her over here? Come on, go get this hat.
Oh,
All right, sit here,
see,
do this. Yeah.
she's your art
Oh,
director.
she's totally
She's
my
the
art
creative
director.
director.
Yeah, completely 100%. So I understand the whole shooting while you're on vacation kind of thing.
Hmm.
So what would you say is the travel the favorite part of your job?
Um, I mean, that's definitely like an amazing plus side of it. Um, I would be happy, like obviously my day to day is just like doing these travel stories. So like
Yeah.
I love even doing that and like seeing what's happening. And it's fun. It's like a little bit of like a nod to like my old job at Newsweek where, I'm very different, but obviously at Newsweek every day we're looking through news and it was different news than what I'm doing now. But even now, like I get to like, what's happening with countries and travel and stuff like that. Um, and then as a photo editor, I get to, look through gorgeous photos every day and I get to decide what to show our viewers and what I think would be the most exciting, like visual way to storytell. So like I love all those aspects and like travel is definitely a very, very fun plus.
I'm sure. I'm like, yeah. Do you have other photo editors there, I'm assuming?
So it's me and then we're a very small team. And then we have like a head visuals editor.
All right.
Um and there's one other person who will do who like works with like internal teams and stuff like that.
All right.
But like the day-to-day stuff for the most part is me and one other person.
So are you the only person who shoots, or do you have, like, say you need an article or you're doing an article in some place, do you reach out to, say it's Bali, a photographer who's
Mhm.
there and like, hey, shoot us some stuff, send it to us? Or does it work that way, or how does that work?
So it works less like that. If it's just because of how fast we're turning news and we're going through stuff. We're going through hundreds of articles a month and, every day we're publishing dozens and dozens of stories. So we don't always have super long lead time to be
Mhm.
able to send people. It definitely happens. And, if we're doing big things, like we had our first digital issue. So we had like we had a cover star and we did a big shoot out of Malibu, California. So, stuff like that will happen. But for like the day to day, if it's not something I have or somebody on my team does, it's normally kind of like stock stuff
Uh,
or if a writer's gone, where I've been very, very diligent with getting writers to send me their own photos also.
okay.
Um, because I'm like, if you're like, okay, so you went to Baha Mar and say you're writing a story for us, and I'm sorry, um, and in your story you talk about, I don't know, this one pig who's learned how to, I don't know, take his own photographs,
Right.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you take a photo of it. If I'm reaching out to the hotel or I'm reaching out to the tourism, whomever, and I'm like, listen, I hear you have this pig, he takes his own photos. If
Right.
they don't have a photo of it, then nobody gets to see it.
Right.
But if we work with the writers and you have your photo, then that's like our own little thing that we now get to show that nobody else has.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
That all
So
makes sense.
it's like secret storytelling to me. To me.
That's very cool. So, how many countries have you been to, both for work and just, or how many, yeah, cool places, countries between work and just vacation for yourself, do you think you've been to, or do you know exactly?
Ooh, I've probably been to 30 countries maybe,
Wow.
um, total. Um, and then with work, it's been mostly domestic stuff. I was in Greece 2 years ago where I did some stuff for work. Um, but yeah, probably about 30 countries total,
All
I
right.
think, around there, maybe early 30s.
So, travel just a little bit then.
Yeah. But again, like any opportunity that,
Oh,
we have, I get time off or I'm looking to do whatever, like in the past, had, I'm very grateful. Now I have unlimited PTO, but that's a new thing. So in the
that's
past,
nice. Wow.
I was getting to the end of the year and I had a few days left and they didn't roll over. So I was like, let's go to Montreal for the weekend. And we booked a flight like 5 days before we left. And it was an hour flight. It was like $150.
Yeah,
So
nice.
we just went, So
That's very cool.
yeah, I like spontaneity travel
Yeah, I'm waiting
if it
for
can
those
happen.
days I can just take off and go. So, hopefully they'll be soon. We travel a little bit, but it's mostly
Mhm.
just like maybe twice a year to any place decent.
Okay, but even twice a year is really significant.
Yeah, but my wife always wants to go basically just to the Caribbean. So
Okay. My sister is that way. Because she loves to like she loves to sit, she loves to
mhm.
relax. And I'm all for that also. But in my head, I'm like, why? Not that these places aren't stunning. And they are, and a lot of places need our tourism.
Oh
So
yeah.
we should go there. But I'm like, why go there when we could sit on a beach in Greece?
Hmm.
Like, it's the same thing. I'm like, or let's go to the coast in Portugal. There's
Well, that was
beaches
the thing. We
there.
went to Greece last year,
Oh, wonderful.
and
Oh, not a good
my wife had
experience.
in her head that it was a vacation and not a trip.
Ah.
And really kind of screwed her up because we went to Naxos first. We flew into Athens, immediately flew to Naxos.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to Naxos, hung out, ate by the beach, hung out on the beach. And then a
See?
couple of days
Perfect.
later, so she was like, "Oh, this is cool. It's like a vacation." Well, the next place we went, we got on a ferry, which was a lot of people and
Yep,
psychotic.
those ferries are crazy.
Yeah, so she was just like, "I don't know about this." And then we got to why am I blanking on it? The place all white. What is it?
Santorini?
Thank you. Yes, Santorini. I don't know why I blanked on Santorini.
It's okay. There's a lot
So
of
we got to
islands.
Santorini, and then it was like nonstop walk. Like we had to walk 10 minutes to
Yes.
get to the room. Then it was walking everywhere else and doing
Mm-hmm.
this and doing that. And so then
Yep.
there was no more beach time.
Mm-mm.
And so when we got home, she was like, I don't know about that. She goes, I am not used to that. And I was like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
because
definitely
yeah. Yeah. She
it's
wanted a vacation. And I was like, that was a trip.
it was a trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what we're looking. So I'm trying to plan my honeymoon, and that's what I'm trying to do, a nice combination of a combo trip vacation where
Where are you going
there's
to go?
some
Do you have an idea? Or you have like multiple
of
places you narrowed it down to at least?
yeah, I have a bunch of places that I really want to go to. But my dream and the goal is South Africa.
Oh, nice.
So, I want to do like a couple days in a safari and then go down to
Hmm.
like Cape Town, where obviously it's the city and there's go to maybe like some vineyards and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we shall see.
Have you been there before?
Never,
Yeah, me either. But it's on my
never.
list.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? Let's go big or go home.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so we
Yeah, I
shall
want to do the
see.
photo safari thing pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a photographer's dream of those
Yeah.
safaris.
Uh-huh. Well, you can always go to Orlando and do the what's the Disney version?
Very true. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
nobody will know the difference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Save myself a couple $1,000s on airfare.
exactly. Okay, so out of everywhere you've been,
Hmm.
what would be your favorite place? So
Ooh.
if you had to go back for a week someplace and you can only choose one place, where would that be?
I can only pick one.
Yeah. All right, I'll get you. You can have two.
Um, oh my God, that's so hard. Because there's really so many places that I've been to that I have fallen in love with. Um, okay. Not I don't want to say wild card, but I feel like unexpected pick, Ireland.
All
I
right.
I went to Ireland. I came home and I was honest to God that night Googling like magazines in Ireland because I'm like, I'm gonna move. I was Googling like how easy is it to get a working visa in Ireland? Because I was like ready to go.
Really?
I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the people, the atmosphere. I was like, I convinced my roommate at the time. I'm like, listen, you're coming with me. We were looking at apartments. It was like we were, you know, I mean, it was fun. Obviously, nothing. I'm still here.
Right.
But I was as serious as I could have been. Um,
What was it about
I
Ireland that grabbed you? Just
I don't,
all those things together? I mean, what was your,
yeah.
I guess not even what was that because you just explained what it was, but what was your expectation compared to what it turned out to be?
So my expectation, so we originally flew into Dublin, and I was expecting kind of just like that, like Euro capital city vibes, like how Rome feels very different than
Right.
like, other places in Italy and vice versa. So that's what I was, kind of expecting, more like a bustling city and just kind of like noise and not grime, but like a certain level of like
Right.
urban grime.
Yeah.
Um, and even that, like it was just, I mean, it was lively and there was things happening 24/7 and there was people everywhere and there was noise, but the noise was like music and the people were like happy. It was just a different, it was even in that city, I like felt like I could like I took like an exhale. And then, we drove 30 minutes out. I mean, we ended up going, we went to the coast and we went to a few other places in Ireland and then up to Northern Ireland. But, even like the 30 minutes out, I was like, I felt like I could breathe different. I just felt like I was very at peace there. I felt
Wow.
very content, um, which I feel every time I go to Italy, I feel the same way. But I wasn't expecting that sort, and I didn't expect it to feel it so strongly. Um, because we were just like, oh, it was a place I wanted to go. It was like a 5.5 hour flight. So like it really
Mhm.
wasn't, like the 8 hours to Italy or like the
Right.
9 to Greece. So we were like, okay, we could get there pretty quickly. We got like a good deal on airfare. So I was like, it's just like it checked a lot of boxes as to like why we went. And I came home and I was like, all right, how do I tell my mom I'm moving to Ireland now? I was like, this is gonna be awkward.
Oh wow. All right. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on my list. It's lower on my list, but might have to move it up farther up onto my list.
Yeah. I
Where
mean,
to go?
I get that too, because I wasn't expecting it to I wasn't expecting to feel that way when I was
Yeah.
there. I don't know if that's a universal feeling because I
Everybody I
definitely
know
know.
who's been there loves it.
See,
Yeah.
yeah, there's something in the air there. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm a city girl. Like I will go to all these places and I'm like, I love New York. I don't want to leave New York. I love the city. I love the grossness and like it's like Stockholm syndrome. I'm like, nothing's wrong here. This is amazing. Um, and I was like, bye. Bye, New York.
So you've been to Italy a lot.
Hmm.
If you were going, because I think that's our trip when my youngest daughter graduates,
Ooh.
not next year, but the year after.
Okay.
Where would you suggest we go?
Oh my
Because I know
God.
there's like the standard, you go to Rome, you go to Florence, you go to Venice, whatever.
Hmm.
But other than those three that kind of like everybody goes to at some point,
Yeah.
where would you go?
So, okay. Um, hmm. I would say go if you can go in the fall, go in the fall,
Right?
like end of September, early October. It's summers in Italy are scorchers.
Mhm.
Not that it's not beautiful. I'm gonna be probably in Tuscany next summer for a wedding, and it's gonna be hot.
Yeah.
But I think the fall is the best time to go. And so my family's all from the south.
Okay.
So you could do a sort of like a southern thing, where you could even like fly into Naples, and which is like my family is right outside of Napoli, and you could go to like the Amalfi Coast,
Yeah. That's what we want to do
or
for
people I haven't been, but everybody loves Sicily. You could do like a little Sicilian thing, right kind of off of like the Napoli Roman area, is Ischia, another really beautiful island. Or you could do like the reverse trip. And instead of going to like Venice, you could do like the Cinque Terre up on the northern coast of Italy, which are those other like picturesque, they're the yellow, orange fishing towns. Um, they're really
that sounds
beautiful.
cool. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, the guy who
But
owns the
definitely do Florence and Tuscany, because Florence is my favorite city in Italy.
my daughter may be doing a study abroad in Florence.
Oh,
So we're trying to get her to do it, but she doesn't know if she wants to because she's playing club volleyball. And it's like that's where the championship is during that semester. Her friends are going to be
uh,
graduating during that semester, and I'm also okay because we're moving her into a house next week,
mhm.
which means we have to move her out in December.
Oh,
and it's a
it's a lot.
house.
It's a
So it's like,
lot.
yeah, I'm like, but if she wants to go, I'm totally for it. Like, you go, and then we'll just meet you over there when
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Um, yeah, no, it's honestly, it's one of those places where like anywhere you go, the people are so wonderful. And the food is incredible. The energy there is amazing. So, like anywhere you go, like even Rome gets a lot of bad hype. People don't love Rome, and it's a lot. Rome is like the New York of Italy,
Mhm.
but I love the vibes in Rome are so much fun. Everybody's just like loud and boisterous, and there's tourists everywhere because tourists, unless you're going to some remote place, or you're going on like a January Tuesday at 7
Uh-huh.
a.m. There's tourists everywhere.
Yeah.
There's always going to be tourists, and we're one of them. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
yeah. So
I've been to the three main ones, but I haven't been to Naples. And
mhm.
the guy who owns the pizza place down the street from us, his whole family's from Naples. And he was
Mhm.
showing me pictures. Like, here's my hometown. He's like, opened his phone and started showing me all these pictures of Naples. I'm like, okay, we got to go to Naples the next time we go
Yeah.
back to Italy. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. My sister-in-law actually lives in Naples.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, her and her husband, he works at the base in Naples, so they've been there for like
Okay.
4 years now, and they love it. And it's I have yet to visit them, but because anytime we go there, we're staying at like family or we're
Okay.
visiting family, and it's definitely not, they're in like the mountain towns, so
Okay.
a
Yeah.
little bit
I
different.
can get that. Yeah, my
A little
wife keeps
different.
going, where are we going to move? I want to move out of the country. Where are we moving? I'm like, I don't know.
Listen, a European passport, if you can, it's a good thing to have. You can hop
So,
around everywhere.
yeah. I don't know how I get one, but how long do you have to be over there before they'll give you one?
I think it's a couple of years.
Yeah.
If there's no, do you have like any lineage? Can you like not scam a passport, but like I think if
If
you've
I
got
do,
a,
it's so far deep
it's
because
so far.
I
Okay.
think I have like England maybe
Okay.
from my dad's side, and then my mother's
Hmm.
side I think is like Native American someplace. So,
Okay.
but you got to go way back. Like my mother,
Got
she's like,
it.
I'm 132nd Cherokee. I'm like,
You're like,
okay, so I'm like
okay.
164th, and do you even know who? She's like, oh yeah, your great grandfather was a chief. I'm like, uh-huh, sure, okay,
Got it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I know at least for Italy, because I'm attempting to get that myself. It's two generations.
yeah. Where's
And
yeah, it
and
wasn't not even
yeah.
close. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I don't know. We'll brainstorm a way to get you there.
I'll figure it out. I'll forge some documents.
Exactly.
I'll pay some forger someplace. They've got to have those,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to ask you, I
Hmm.
guess, the last question, but who knows? We'll see. What is the strangest, coolest thing that's ever happened to you since or just most
Ooh.
interesting thing that's happened to you since you've been graduated in this business?
Okay. Hmm. Okay. Strangest, definitely. So, okay, maybe I was 6 or 7 months into my job at Newsweek, which was my first like paying full-time job since I graduated. And my day to day, it was like we had news stories lined up. That was because I worked on the print magazine. So I would see like, okay, we have this feature on this, and there was the article. I would read the article, and then I would, pick and choose how to illustrate that via photos. And we had all different categories. So there was one that was like a sciencey category, and that one that was, like an entertainment, and that was movies and whatnot.
Right.
So one of the stories was about, oh God, I don't want to say traumatizing, but this is something I will never, this is great. This is etched permanently. Um,
Oh God.
I, the story was about how Elton John was retiring. It was one of his final, this is it tours.
Hmm.
And Now I love Elton John. You know, my wedding song is gonna be an Elton John song. I'm a big fan. So I was just excited to like be working on the story. And it was about how his tour is gonna end soon, but I guess there's a company who was interested or in the works with doing like a holographic Elton John tour or something. So like
Oh
the
yeah.
Yellow Brick Tour lives on forever, or what, you know, paraphrasing, whatever it
Right.
was. It was something involving Elton John and holograms. So naturally, you know, I was like, oh, let me reach out to the company doing the holograms to see if they have like renderings or if they have mock-ups or if they have whatever to pair with the article, which was like
Oh yeah.
standard. I do that, you know, I was doing that all day today. Um, so I reached out to this company and I was like, you know, hi, I'm a photo editor at Newsweek. Um, and I'm doing this story. I'm looking for photos to pair with it, whatever my spiel was. And this very kind man answers, and he's like, oh, you know, like, I don't know, like, let me see. We might not have something, but like, the actual like our parent company or like somebody else might have photos. So then like he reached out on behalf of me. There's like this whole train. Um and somebody came back and they were like, "Oh, well, can you send us like what are you planning on saying?" So now that I didn't know that you're not supposed to send
Oh
the pre and like I had some of the foresight to be like, let me only send the paragraph mentioning the company's name. But now, I mean, and I learned then, but
right.
you don't share writer's work before it's published. Um, just because, you know, people that have things to say, and oh, I want that changed or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
It's
I
and
can
you know,
see that.
journalistic integrity. I didn't know that. So I
No,
was
I
very
wouldn't
small.
know
I was very little and I didn't know. So I sent that and I was like, oh, like this is what it is, like la la la, thanks for your help. They must have like sent it to the writer. Now the writer's emailing me. He's all angry.
that.
I got that fire out. And then I get a phone call. And like maybe a few hours later, I get a phone call on my work phone. It was in my, you know, email signature, whatever. So I answer and I'm like, you know, this is Newsweek, whatever. Hi. And this woman on the phone was like, do you know who this is? And I was like, no, you called me. And she's like, well, I'm Elton John's something. She was like a publicist, an assistant. She was somebody who worked on like Elton's team.
Right.
And she's like, we hear you're like writing this article about Elton, but like nobody on our team was notified and la 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 la. She was running through whatever and she was like very fierce. Um, and I was horrified. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know if you should have been notified. I'm like, you know, it's about the hologram. And she's like, but it's about Elton. Like, you don't get to write about Elton without Elton being involved. And she's like, you're never going to work with Elton again. Then, like, hangs up the phone. So I'm like sitting there. I was like 22 and I was like, I'm like, am I blacklisted by Elton John now? I'm like, what is happening? Um, I leave. The workday is over, thank God. I'm like, I, you know, need like a cocktail.
Oh
I
yeah.
come in the next day and the like head editor of our of whatever that vertical was, she came to my desk and she's like, why am I getting phone calls from Elton John's whatever? I don't remember who this woman was. She was
Right.
somebody on, you know, a team of his. She's like, why am I getting phone calls from this woman? I was like, I don't know. I thought it was, you know, I explained the whole thing. And she's like, okay, whatever. She leaves. Like half hour later, my editor in chief, who
Ooh,
was not somebody at the time I ever worked with because I was like a assistant photo editor, you know, I was nobody. And I was only there about 6 months. So now he comes to my desk and he was this like very tall, like he was very kind, but like stern looking. And
right.
he's like, Alessandra. I was like, yes, hi. he's like, why am I getting phone calls from Elton John's whatever? I was like, I don't know. So now this woman is like dialing everybody. I think the story ended up getting killed because,
Well, she knew.
it was too much of a hassle. And
Wow.
after that, I was like, okay, this was an experience.
Wow.
So, and like now I know, well, one, obviously you don't share writer's work. But now I know that like she also didn't know what was going on. So
Right.
like she was doing her job and I was technically doing mine. It's just like her job had nothing to do with my job. And like, she was doing her thing and her thing is so much higher than, who she was answering to was way higher than who I was. So
Oh,
after that I was like, and I remember I called my dad because he's also big, I got into music with him. We go to all Elton John concerts together. So I called him and I'm like, listen, I'm like, I may or may not be on a bad list with Elton John now. I'm like, like obviously Elton John has no idea, but I'm like, something's going on now. Like someone doesn't like me anymore.
God. That seems like a little bit of an overreach on his team's part there too. Going, you'll never work with Elton again. It's like we're just writing an article,
Well, that's yeah,
literally.
well, see, that's why, and I think like I'm assuming she didn't not understand, but like it wasn't explained the capacity.
Right.
Like I'm sure to her, it was like run up some flagpole where they're like, Newsweek is doing an article on Elton John, but like, were we contacted? And then she's like, no. But
Yeah.
like we weren't. We were doing a story on like this hologram
She probably
company.
made it
And
sound like, yeah, that you were doing a story and it was set in stone. The Elton John is doing a
yeah,
hologram tour and here's
yeah,
what's
yeah,
going to
yeah. Like
happen.
I'm
Yeah.
sure like now being in the industry, like it's so easy for things to be miscommunicated and like
Mhm.
misshared. Um, so I understand like why she was probably like, who are you? What are you doing? We don't know who you are. But at like, 6 months in, and I like
Yeah,
walked
that's,
into work on
oh,
day, I was like, oh, this is awful.
yeah,
I
I
was
could
like,
see.
am I
Yeah, that would freak
fired?
me out.
And of
Yeah.
course I was like, I love him. I'm like, I don't want anybody on his team not to like me.
And possibly be banned from his concerts
All
forever.
right, I'm like, is like my photo gonna be like hanging up somewhere now? They're like, do not, do not let her in.
Well, I'm glad they didn't ban you.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I'd be very upset.
Yeah, that would be terrible. And you would think that it's Newsweek, they'd have called him like, "Hey, we heard something's going on. Can you explain it to us a little more?" But like you said, she's probably new. She's probably freaking out.
Yeah, like, there was definitely, I can only imagine some kind of miscommunication. And she was just like, I need to get this handled now. But of course, the person she was handling it with was like me.
Right.
And I was like crying. I wasn't crying, but I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what's going on. I
Yeah.
was definitely not some like level-headed um person that would have had answers for her. I was
Right.
just like, I don't know because I didn't.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's good. It's
yeah.
a good learning experience. I mean, you learn from it. You learn what to do and what not to do.
Definitely. And now if something like I would have been like, listen, I'm only on like the photo team and like, you know, I could refer her to somebody or like I could be like, oh, I would just have more knowledge on
Right.
how to kind of explain how we might have gotten into this situation.
Yeah.
But at the time, I would just like read articles and like pick out photos and like read the next article and pick out photos and I would send some emails and make some phone calls being like, hi, can you send me photos? And that was it.
Yeah.
So there was no there was no drama like
Yeah.
that.
That's
So
a
that
big
was
learning curve for and a lot to get thrown onto you at being that new. Whole thing.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you survived it.
Yeah, no, it's made me stronger. It
Oh,
was
good.
new appreciation for Elton John's internal team because
Okay.
they're on it.
Too bad you couldn't have worked that somehow to work a way to meet out John. Like, hey, listen.
Oh, well, believe my dad has tried, not successfully, but he's like, listen, send me her number. I have like my dad has like Elton John's leather jacket. Um, he like had some sale. I don't even know.
What's
But
your
my
dad
dad's like,
do?
he owns a construction company.
Okay.
does construction. He does like high-end retail in New York City.
Okay.
But he's just a big, big music fan. He loves memorabilia, and he also loves, like, he's in fashion. Well, he's in construction via fashion.
Right.
So he loves clothes and he loves things like that. So I guess this opportunity arose, and he's like, this is a perfect, perfect thing.
Yeah.
So he got this jacket and he's like, I want it, but now he's like obsessed with getting it signed. So he's like, I
Uh,
want, which I don't blame him. I'd
yeah,
also
I
want
don't
it
either.
signed. So every concert we go to, he like brings the jacket and brings pens. And he was like, give me her number. I'm gonna call her. I'm gonna email her. Like, I want to get this jacket signed. And I'm like, Dad, first of all, too soon. Like, I'm not. I'm like, we can't continue this. Like, my connection with this, whomever this woman was, like, it needs to end. I'm like, I was like traumatized from this when I was younger. I'm like, please stop asking me, because you are not going to. I'm not letting you call her and being like, hi, remember that little girl you yelled at? I'm her dad, and I'm not here to yell at you. I just like really want Elton John to sign my jacket. I was like, can you, I'm like, this needs to be over,
How long ago
please.
was this?
Oh my God. 7 years ago?
Do you still have the email and her phone number and all that?
I have it in like a book somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I was like, because even while all that was going on, and when he was pestering me, I also was like, this isn't a bad person
So
to
it's
like
been 7 years. You might want to let
like,
Dad give her a call at this point.
this isn't a bad person to have.
Yeah.
So I have it somewhere, but
I'd look her up on LinkedIn and see if she still has the same job, or Google her
listen, yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
Because he may have fired her by now, and she was no good to you,
Oh my God, no, she was, yeah,
or she
I
moved
couldn't even
on.
again,
Now
yeah,
she's
like
Taylor Swift's PR person,
right,
probably.
yeah. That's fine too. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's see. Yeah, no, I couldn't even tell you her name, couldn't tell you her position. She had to have been on some kind of publishing, marketing, assistant team, I don't even,
Yeah.
but she
Yeah.
was fierce. She was like, Elton did not approve this.
Well, all right.
And I'm like, wow, cool. Please stop yelling. Please stop yelling at me.
Stop, please. Oh, well, thank you for doing this.
Of
This was
course.
really cool. I enjoyed it. I
Yeah, this was
loved the
really
Elton
nice.
John story. That's probably one of my favorite ones so far.
It was definitely, there's some, yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of funny little anecdotes that I guess just happen over the year, but that is ingrained in me forever.
Oh, I
My
bet.
my uh my potential Elton John blacklisting.
Well, yeah, thank you for doing this. This was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
thank
really enjoyed
you.
it. Yeah.